apples and turn them into apple cider, and then take that apple cider and turn it into hard cider. Now the equipment and the method that I'm going to use is pretty much the same thing that they used 150 years ago. Here you can see a very old hand crank press from 1872. What you do is you feed the apples in the top here, grinds it up through here, falls down into this basket. The basket is then moved, and using this hand crank corkscrew goes down and presses the apples that we've mashed up, and the juice flows out the front. I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. Enjoy. Now probably my least favorite part of making cider is actually collecting the apples. Pretty much have to look at every apple you're about to pick up and press cider out of and make sure it's okay. You don't want any apples that look like that have been eaten or that have worms, or like this one has a slug crawling right around on it. You want a nice solid apple. Might have a little dirt on, so we have to rinse them all too. But a nice solid firm apple without any rotten spots or any obvious wormholes or bite marks from groundhogs or deer. Now the key to good cider is the apples, and for a good tart apple cider you really want a couple different apples. Here you see we have some Red Delicious, some Wine Sap, and I'm not quite sure what these are, but the better blend of apples you have, the more unique your cider is going to taste, and it's not just going to be a bland sweet cider, but it'll have a little tart and a little bit of a kick to it. And also the better your mix, the better it will be for making good hard cider.
Andy's doing the last of our cider here. Look down here, I'll see the mash inside. There it is, nice mash.
Good.
See that? Nice, good.
Nice mash.
All it is ground up apples.
Seeds and all.
No additives. Whoop, getting no preservatives, no nothing.
Now, once the basket is full with mash, you need to fold the burlap over. I can really do this. Nice and neatly. Alright.
Hey, apply pressure.
And
watch it flow.
Out comes the juice. You can see it flowing out from the burlap. Burlap keeping all the junk inside and letting mostly juice out. The final product is this cider, which I have in 5-gallon jugs. I'm going to make 2 5-gallon batches. From here the process is pretty simple. In order to raise the sugar level of the cider a little bit more, to raise the alcohol level in turn, I'm going to add a little bit of simple cornstarch, corn sugar, and then I'm going to try 2 different kinds of yeast here. One is a liquid cider yeast and the other is a champagne yeast. After this is all combined, we put a stopper into the top of the cider that pretty much allows CO2 to escape and germs not to get into the cider. From there, we'll let it ferment, and we'll check in on that process, and then we'll cap it using this bottle capper here. Okay, it's been about 24 hours since the yeast was added to the cider, so let's take a look and see how it's doing. What we have here is the 5-gallon container with the trap on top. Out of the trap, you'll see it's a little dirty. What's flowing out of there is a lot of foam and byproduct, and there's also carbon dioxide bubbles, which we'll see bubbling out of here. It's going a little slow right now, but within a day or so it'll be just percolating right at the top here. And what's coming out, again, is carbon dioxide. That's a byproduct of the yeast that we added. The yeast consumes the sugar in the cider and creates alcohol and carbon dioxide. I was able to measure the specific gravity of this cider, and this was at about a 12. And what that will yield with the yeast I used, hopefully, is an alcohol percentage of 6.9%. So we'll check in a little later and see how this is doing. The cider is done and ready to be bottled. All the bottles have been cleaned and sterilized. I'm just going to put it in there and cap it. Okay, the bottles are being filled up. Once they're full, giving them to Scott. Just putting a cap on them. It's all about the capping. Take it and give it a shake to mix up the sugar. And we're marking them with a 10 because they should have about 10% alcohol.